Hi, you're listening to This Is Not Your Practice Life. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friends. I'm a certified life and emotional intelligence coach. And if you really want to step into your highest self, there are a few non-negotiables you're going to have to learn, and I am just the person to help you do it. No matter your past, I'm here to help you create a more fulfilling future. So stick around with me. Not only will I teach you how to navigate your brain's daily mind drama, but I'll help you actually understand your mind, your emotions, why you do the things you do, and why others do the things they do. Most importantly, I'll help you build the self-awareness skills to create whatever results you want. It's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. After all, this is not your practice life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. I'm Macy and I am so excited that you are joining me this morning, this evening, or wherever you're listening from. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. I hope that you like what you hear and it is helpful, P.S., to start at the beginning after you've maybe found a few episodes that resonate with you, because my episodes do build upon one another. It will help you build all of the skills that you need until you're ready for the next step, which is typically coaching. All right, for all of you returning listeners, welcome back to the podcast. So today we are going to talk about shoulding on ourselves, okay? Because I have a lot of people that do this. A lot of clients do this. A lot of my friends do this. Sometimes my family does this. Sometimes I do this. My husband does this. It's very human to should on ourselves. And it's kind of a fun way of saying it, but it basically means when your brain is offering, I should be, or I should have done something, or I should be doing. I should, or I should have. Anytime you're doing that, you're shoulding on yourself, okay? And I just want to offer that it's not helpful. And this is going to be a short and sweet episode, but it's going to talk about why you don't want to be shoulding on yourself, okay? First of all, every single time we do this or we engage in this kind of behavior of I should be, you are literally arguing with your reality. You're arguing with reality. Should have or should be or should anything means that you're recognizing that there's something you could be doing or that you think you need to be doing, but you're not doing it. And that's more important to figure out why you're not doing something or why you haven't done something that you think that you could, right? Figuring out the reason behind that rather than argue with the reality of playing around with I should have done that, or I shouldn't have done that, or I should XYZ. So I'm going to give you examples. People will do this with money. They'll say like, I should have saved more money, or I should have spent that money, okay? And the ultimate fact of the matter is that whether you should have or you shouldn't have, you didn't. You didn't do the thing. And to reminisce in the should haves and could haves and, shouldn'ts, you are literally arguing with the very reality that you're living in. The reality is you didn't save the money or you did spend the money. And so while it sometimes feels helpful for our brain to say, oh, I should have done something different, or I shouldn't have done it this way, the reality of it is that you didn't, and you're arguing, your brain is arguing with the current reality of what actually is. So I should have told her, I shouldn't have told her, right? Whatever you should or shouldn't have done, you probably did it or you didn't do it. And so it's not helpful. It sometimes feels helpful to should on ourselves because we think I think we think that thinking this way is super helpful in, I don't know, processing what we could do better. And I guess if we're using it in a lesson type of form, it could maybe be helpful to be like, it would have been more beneficial to maybe have that conversation later, or it would have been more beneficial to save that money for XYZ or spend that money on blah, 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 right? Like that might be helpful. But when we're literally arguing with the reality of what is, we're just putting ourselves in a spiral of a lot of guilt and shame. And that's really the main takeaway that I want you to have from this probably shortest episode I will ever do on the podcast, is that shooting on yourself is ultimately like this Russian roulette game of, do I want to feel guilty today? Do I want to feel shame today about the decisions that I made that are now in the past that I am reminiscing of in my present moment and shaming myself for because I don't like the outcome, or it didn't happen the way that I thought it was, or I think that I should have done it differently. Like that is where the shooting on ourselves is also not helpful, because not only are we arguing with the reality of what actually is and the decision we actually made, now we're guilting and shaming ourselves for the decision that we did or didn't make. Does that make sense? So, like, let's just say that I have a certain amount of money in my bank account and I decide that I'm going to spend it on concert tickets that I really, really want. And then a month later, an opportunity comes up and I don't have the money anymore and I would rather do the new opportunity that came up, but the money's not there. So then I start going down a spiral of, I should have saved the money. I shouldn't have bought the concert tickets. I should have been more responsible. I shouldn't have made such a, quick decision. I should have considered all of my options. I should have blah, 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 blah. Okay? Not helpful because it argues with the reality that I did spend the money on the concert tickets. Okay? I did do that. So the only powerful thing here is to say, I did that. Now, what do I want to do from this point forward? How can I problem solve to get a different result that I'm wanting, or to, if it's possible to change the outcome of that decision that I made, how do I focus my energy and attention on that rather than the should have, could have, would have of life that can keep us in a spiral? Because if I'm mad at myself for how I spent, just on this specific example, right? If I'm mad at myself for spending the money on concert tickets because now another opportunity came up, what I'm going to be engaging and spending my energy on is the shame and the guilt of making a decision that didn't feel smart, right? Of not feeling like I made a good choice, of beating myself up for my thinking at that time, for my choices at that time. And while I can learn lessons from that, this didn't really happen, I made it up. But while I would be able to learn lessons from that, it wouldn't be helpful to stay in the past from that decision. What would be more helpful with my time and energy would be to look at what my actual options are, if there are solutions. Like, for instance, instead of being like, I shouldn't have done that, I'm such a, irresponsible person, or I should have known better, I don't think ahead, rather than spend my energy there, could I instead switch to, okay, I spent my money that way on the concert tickets. Now this other thing has come up. I want to do this other thing. Is it possible to sell my concert tickets? Is it possible to transfer my tickets to someone else who wants them and get some sort of money back? Is it possible to make the amount of money that I want to make by selling something, by, coming up with a creative idea, by babysitting, by whatever it is, to do the thing that I want that I've already spent the allotted money on. So the important thing about whether you're shitting on yourself or not is how you spend your energy moving forward from the decision you made in the past. And a question that I think is very powerful to ask yourself here is, if you took the shoulds and the guilt of your decision away, what would you do, or what would life look like? So if you took the shoulding out and you stopped letting yourself engage in the guilt of the decision, what would you do, or what would life look like if you instead shifted your attention on what you can do from this point forward? There's, the version of you that engages in the past and goes into vicious cycles. And then there's the version of you that puts your best foot forward and becomes solution focused. And I think that that's where people struggle a lot in mindset work whenever there's not a lot of awareness, is that we see a problem, and rather than search for solutions, we swim in the problem. And we make it mean something about us personally and who we are and how we operate, or our personality kind of traits that we don't love. Like we totally internalize and swim in unhelpful energy and unhelpful decision making and unhelpful thought processes and emotions, rather than say, okay, let me look at where I am right now and why I made that decision. And do I like the result of that decision? And if I don't, then I know that I have to change my thinking and my feelings and my actions in order to get a new result. So what do I need to do differently or better right now to get a different result, or to learn a lesson, versus sit here and totally guilt trip myself, shame myself, and shit all over myself. Okay? So there's a difference between the two. And I wanted to address this because it does come up so often, of things you think that you should have done, especially when it comes to things that are maybe more traumatic in our life, like just the guilt and shame associated with bigger life events where we feel as if we could have prevented something. And whether that's the truth or not, it is never helpful to swim in the shoulds and the should be's and the should ofs and all of the shoulding. Okay? Because again, it is simply the brain arguing with your current reality. It's taking something of the past that you did or didn't do and shaming yourself for it, and putting you in this spiral of negative emotion where you're wishing things would be different rather than actually taking action to see what the solution could be moving forward. Okay? So it's very unproductive for us, but it's a very human thing that we oftentimes fall into. Okay? And so I want to just bring awareness to that, because if you're ever shitting on yourself, just remind yourself, okay, in this moment, I'm arguing with my current reality. I'm arguing with what actually is. I didn't choose the answer, and I'm shitting on myself because of the answer that I did or didn't choose. And that is not where we're at right now. It's time to move forward. So how do I move forward from here? What are my solutions? What are some of the ways that I can solve for this? And if I can't solve for it, then my job is to just sit and process the emotions and let them pass and move forward. And if I can actually change the results, then I need to get towards or work towards solutions for that, and use my brain capacity, my mental and emotional and energetic capacity, in a more useful way that's going to serve me from this point forward. I'm going to serve my future self, not reminisce in my past self that I feel has made a problematic error. Okay? One is very empowering, one is not so empowering. So I just want you to check between the two. Make sure you check in with yourself if you're shooting on yourself. Okay? That's it. That's it for today. I can't believe it. Shortest episode probably of my life. So, if you all celebrate Easter, I hope you had an amazing Easter with your family, with your kids, with traditions. I hope that everybody is healthy and doing well. And I will see you guys again next week. Bye. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. If you'd like to connect on social media, you can find me on both Instagram and Facebook at Macy Renee Coaching. And if you want to stay up to date on all of my offers, announcements, and inspirational emails, you can join my email list at macyrenee.com. In addition, if there's a way that I can further support you in your coaching journey, you can schedule a free 60-minute consult at macyrenee.com anytime you want so we can discuss the best options for you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.